This is Face to Face with the co-founders of the National Association of Expert Advisors, Jay Kinder and Michael Reese.
We believe that we can change the real estate industry. There is a better way to sell real estate.
Your success is ultimately a sum of the decisions that you make.
And they're really developing a process, a set of guidelines, a set of procedures.
They're also best-selling authors.
Here today to discuss the issue is Jay Kinder and Michael Reese.
All right, we're live, face to face with Jay Kinder, Michael Reese. Man, today is going to be an exciting episode. It's Friday. I got a lot of positive focus today. How about you, Michael?
Man, I'm grateful. A lot of positive focus
Right.
as well, yeah.
Well, what are grateful is the word that was the word that was on the tip of my tongue actually. So, what are you grateful for today?
Man, I'm mainly grateful for, I would say, clarity, man. Just, every single day it seems like just getting more and more clear. That's the thing that, when I have clarity, I take action when I don't, but when I have clarity, I feel like I have this need
Right.
to feel like I'm contributing.
Right.
And so when I feel like I'm contributing to a goal,
Right.
no, that's how I am.
Right.
That makes me feel good. So I feel like there's a lot of contribution that I'm able to deliver as a result of the clarity. And sometimes getting clear isn't the fun part, but
Right.
once you're clear, man, it sure makes things rock. So I'm grateful for being clear.
It's funny you mentioned that. There was a post in Lab Code Agents that I posted on yesterday that was a similar situation, on an agent scale of, when you're just not, you don't know when you're not clear on what your goal is and where you're even trying to go, you don't really know what step and what direction to take, right? So
Right.
you might take even though you can go 100 mile an hour this way, if you have to come back and go this way, then, that wasn't, very helpful, right?
Right.
And I've done that before,
Right.
So, she was, flustered, all the shiny objects, don't know what to do, and I basically spelled out a process, that we use for getting clear, right? And a process we were actually introduced to recently that was very helpful in, getting clear on what are the next steps that you need to take. And it certainly is one of the most valuable things, that clarity report that we wrote so long ago, but helping people get clear on what is it that you're trying to do, reverse engineering, what are all the ways that you can accomplish the goal. And then, narrowing it down to, well, what am I going to commit to this week? What am I committed to doing right now to get on, and then ignore everything else, right? Focus on that one thing and take it to completion.
Right.
That level of clarity is just like a piece of,
Yeah.
right? Now I know what to work on.
Right.
I can even sleep at night, because you can't sleep at night when you don't know what you're supposed to be working on.
Right.
Too much anxiety gets created. So I definitely am with you on that. I'm pretty excited about, this is the best time. This is my favorite time of year, actually. I didn't realize that until I literally was just making a list of the positive focus. Boomer Sooner, OU football is about to start. Dallas Cowboy football is about to start. The Rangers are about to be in the playoffs. I mean, from a sports standpoint, this is a good time of year because the Cowboys aren't 1-13 yet, so that's always a good start. The Sooners haven't lost in the playoffs, you know what I'm saying, and came
Right.
short of their goal again. So this is a good time of year. Riggs had his first day of school last week. It was a big week. Coldplay concert, a bunch of us went. It was a blast. Just a lot of good stuff. So I'm excited about tonight, taking Carson to a Rangers game. So that'll be fun.
That will be fun.
So it's good stuff, man. And last week we were in Nashville. Next week, launching our partner in Atlanta. So we've got a busy few weeks coming into the busiest time of year for us, which is the Exponential Growth Summit. And I'm definitely looking forward to some exciting things we're going to be launching there this year, of course. But let's talk a little bit about Nashville and our trip to Nashville.
Yeah. Love it.
Before we jump into getting you off the transaction treadmill today, I also have a story about some sheep that you don't want to be joining and doing what they're doing. Bah. Bah. Don't want to be sheep.
Do that one more time.
Bah.
All
That's
right.
the best I can do. That's pretty close, though.
That is. That sounds like
sheep
a
to
really
me.
good sheep. We went to Nashville. For those of you who don't know, our good buddy Dustin Black with Black Tie Moving has a real interesting concept. The concept is what I think was the best part about Nashville is not only, I'll be honest, what was the most interesting about Nashville was to watch how powerful celebrity works in business. That would probably be my number one takeaway.
Right.
The second takeaway would be, I remember being in the car when I got picked up by Dustin, and I remember having a conversation with him about just his mindset, and his mindset of literally serving others and adding value with absolutely no expectation for anything in return,
Right.
and how that was the inspiration to his new book. And it was pretty fascinating because it was like in his DNA.
Right.
It was not only his mindset, but every single place, every single thing, it was demonstrated. And it was just a constant reminder of how, you know, relationships and people are what business is really all about.
Right.
And when you have when you have a mentality, a mindset of trying to be, you know, from a service standpoint, to really service someone. I remember telling someone about their USP. They have a similar business model. There's a lot of alignment in the way that they look at expanding and building and scaling their business. But I remember just having a specific conversation with him about their core philosophy, and I remember him telling me their guarantee. And I was at this event with the realtors, obviously, and I was on the other side of the room. You were chatting with one of our mastermind members that had driven up, and they were like, "Oh, is it like the guarantee where there's all this fine print?"
Right.
Because it was like, you know, your guarantee. This is a moving gentleman who's just doing a great job, owns a moving company that gives high level service, and that's like the core of their philosophy. And I was telling them, trying to be an advocate, if you will, about what made him different than other movers.
Right.
And the agent was like, "Oh, it probably is like the guaranteed sale. What's the fine print?
Right.
You know, do they really give the money back?" And I was like, "You know what? They do. I mean, there is no fine print.
Right.
It's pretty much that simple. If you aren't happy, they give you that money back." So I just thought that was an interesting concept and a mindset and a kind of a methodology and filter to run your business through.
Right, and you know what it comes down to, and we'll talk about, you know, we're going to talk about the transaction treadmill. We're going to talk about getting off the transaction treadmill and where the real lifetime value is in your business. And I think that's something, you know, I really think in 2011 when we first brought onto the scene the database that manages lifetime value. We did the interview with Jack Mitchell, the author of Hug Your Customer, and really truly kind of introduced, even before that, with Jay Abraham, Fall in Love with Your Customer, the strategy of preeminence. And you know, there's this huge opportunity that people have in the real estate businesses that they get caught up on this transaction treadmill, trying to do more deals. And I think most everybody would agree. There's a point in your business where you get to where you lose touch with the customer, and you know, it's the beginning of this, you know, this feeling you start to have where you stop getting the referrals as often as you got them. You stop having those one-to-one relationships. And you feel a little bit disconnected from your business as you continue to grow and expand it. And it's really, you know, why we're here at Face to Face talking about a completely different business model. This comes back to the whole sheep, right? So like it's funny because this is actually in 2 or 3 times in my life, like it played out perfectly. And this was back when Braden was really young and Carson was even younger. And we were actually going to a Kenny Chesney concert actually here in Dallas, which is before I lived here. And we were driving down the road, and I remember from the year before I was going to OU Texas, and it said everybody that's, you know, OU Texas, you know, exit on the right hand side. There was 10 miles of traffic, all in like one lane, and it's just not moving. Then there's 3 open lanes of traffic that are moving fast, right? And as I'm watching all this traffic, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to sit. I don't sit still very well. You know that.
Right.
So like, I'd rather drive in circles than sit still. So we drive past it. We drive all the way past 10 miles of traffic.
Right.
I get to the next exit. There's not a single car. Everybody's following all the signs and just going where everybody's going like sheep. And I literally drove down to the next exit, exited, drove right up to the Cotton Bowl, parked like literally in like front row parking nearly, and walked right into the stadium. I'm like, all those people are going to be there for hours and hours, just sheep, just following what everybody else is doing, bah, sheep. And I laughed, and then it was a perfect opportunity to teach my kids the same thing, and it was Kenny Chesney. I was like, watch this. And I had the video. This was like a Palm Trio. That's how long ago it was. And I said, watch this. And I literally turned to the video on it, and it was me and Amber and Carson and Braden. And I drove past all the signs again saying exit here for whatever it was called back then, Toyota, whatever the soccer complex is, right. Drove one exit down. Which it connects to. Back then I didn't even know for sure, but it connected right to the ballpark, pulled right up to the concert and parked, and literally people for hours will be in line waiting to exit that one exit, just sheep, doing everything everybody else is doing. And I think, when you start thinking about, well, what is, anytime you see a line that's that long, there's a pretty good chance that means there's an opportunity somewhere else. Right.
Yeah.
And that was kind of, it was funny because actually Adrian Arrington, one of my agents in Duncan, sent me. I'd made a comment because I did the same thing on Snapchat the other day, and I drove past all the cars that were turning to get onto the tollway.
Right.
And I went to the left-hand lane, moved over, and just turned right. It was actually an illegal turn, so it doesn't actually count.
Okay.
But I wasn't going to wait in that line anyways. I called them all sheep. Because it's like, it's forever, like 3 miles of traffic. I'm not going to sit in the right-hand lane, just not doing it. I'm going to go a different way. I'm going to find another way. There's got to be a better way.
Right.
So, but anyway, so she sent me this video. That was the same thing. It said sheep, how, people are just sheep. They do whatever it is. And anyways, we may share the video later, but it's pretty amazing how people will literally just follow those herds. And I think that's something that we really tapped into is in what's really working with face-to-face. What's really working about lifetime value is quit worrying about adding up your transactions and thinking that that's where the money is in real estate. You don't get paid when you take transactions to the bank. It's about building relationships. What's the lifetime value of a customer? How do you fill one person's cup up to the brim and add as much value to that one person as you can? When you're looking at your partner, a business partner that way, when you're looking at a client that way, when you're looking at your business that way, let me tell you something. Selling a bunch more homes don't make life easier. It makes it harder. So add as much value as you can to each person. Do that as many times as you can. And everything else takes care of itself. And I think that's what we experienced in going to see Dustin Black. He's doing extremely well. His business is scaling nationwide. He really, truly focuses and built a business, not just a business, but a business model around delivering value to each person at all costs. And if he doesn't deliver on that, he'll give them their money back. Now, when somebody goes through that process and they experience working with Black Tie Moving, what happens? They have that experience, or they get their money back, and that's what they walk away feeling like. He said he was going to do this, he delivered on that, and that was the conversation continued with the gentleman that one of the top agents in Nashville, good friend of ours, and he has a little bit of a problem with the guaranteed sale program. It's always been one of those things that it's the reason people call you, but it's not the reason they do business with you, is how I would describe it, and it's not congruent with the actual customer experience, right? At the end of the transaction, they don't say, well, yeah, call Michael Reese. He guaranteed to sell my home, and he did, or he bought it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that's not what they say. And so are you really providing, are you really providing the value, and are you making that value visible and clear and differentiated and exclusive to you that no one else can provide? And if you can do that in a marketplace, then you can build a brand. You can build something that you can take and scale. And I think that's what we've been able to do with Expert Advisor. It's obviously the plan and the reason why we're partnering with one individual. Like, all of it's kind of coming together at the right time for growing this thing to the next level. I think it's fascinating.
It is fascinating. That reminds me of when my personal mind shifted from a lifetime value business model standpoint. When you really look at it, a lot of people, they don't have the ability. When you were talking, what it made me think of is how people measure that value.
Right.
But not only, what I learned, and this was a challenge that I took in 2010 or 9. It was 2009. A gentleman challenged me to call my past clients, and he said it was a philosophy, but. There was some pretty big assumptions. The way that I would get my traditional business would be to go out and, work expireds and work for sell by owners. And for this individual, it was just beyond them that I would go do that before calling all my happy past clients. And what I adopted, and I think, my wife worked with me at the time, and I think she demonstrated that for me and made me definitely pre-sold. Even to this day, she knows, that one of her past clients' homes went on the market. They called her. What she explained to me, what she did after a transaction was demonstrate the mindset of the lifetime value of your customer is in direct proportion to your communication with them after the transaction. But it starts, with that lifetime, with that experience, that customer experience. And so what I see a lot of people doing is their communication falls off because they don't have a system. It's not the people who I think do it the best, they might have a simple system like, this is my top 100 clients and people that can send me referrals. Right. So like
most people don't. Let's be honest. Most people don't know their top 100 clients.
No, they don't. And our vendors, like with you,
Right.
your top 100. And if you go through like Michael Mayer, 7 levels, his whole foundation, was built around identifying those people. And I remember you had done that. And I remember one time you saying, dude, you'll never guess who my number one guy was. And it was your painter, right? And so
Had no idea.
And so you had to measure it. You had to identify it. He obviously trusted you. And so there's a lot of different ways to execute a lifetime value business model. But I think what the fundamental challenge is that if you're not communicating, first of all, if you're not setting an expectation that you and your client agree to on what's going to entail in the process with your transaction, because the services you have are the process. And when you take on a customer, if you can make that process, after they've committed to you, if you can take an extra step and say, let me explain to you the next steps and what are going to happen, what you should be experiencing over time throughout the transaction, and you really take the time to explain to them your methodology for maybe how you communicate. Maybe you even ask them how they prefer their communication to be. Do you want to be communicated through text? Do you want to be called? I call on Fridays. Or it could be, hey, what I do is I'm going to send you an email and you're open to calling me. Here's my times. Whatever your system is, I've seen multiple systems. Would love for anybody to comment if they have a system, if they do have a system. Love for them to share it in the comments. But what is your system for setting so you can manage? Because you can't exceed, you're not going to get lifetime value if your client doesn't have a good experience. If your client has a great experience, then you basically are at step 1. And what I did for my own thinking was I thought of this. I want you to think of this too. Imagine your last closing. The guy showed up to the closing and it was a $300,000 transaction and your commission would have been $9,000. And imagine this gentleman came with a duffel bag. And in that duffel bag was $171,000 in cash. It was $180,000, but he gave you the $9,000 for your commission after selling his home. And he said, this other $171,000, I'm going to give you $9,000 more every single year. I mean, think about this. This is under the same mindset. It would be like, think about your past 100 clients sending you all a referral this year. Everybody would have a great business. So imagine that there was $171,000. He said, I'm going to leave this in escrow. And all I'm asking you guys here at the title company is, as long as he stays in contact with me, communicates with me this amount of times, I want you to release this money to him as my way of paying him for doing such a great job in service, which is really him sending you customers or referrals, right? And so if you think about it under that mindset, how much money do you have on deposit at the title company? Right? And how much money, because what you think about, if you think about a race, right? There's a starting line. When you open that title company door, I want you to look at the bottom every time, and I want you to see a starting line. And I want you to walk out of that title company and think, lifetime value has just started, and I'm going to either leave all this money on deposit, or I'm going to start today tapping into the real value of my customer, and I'm going to do that by communicating to them after the transaction. And I'm going to actually take the time. I'm going to take the time to build the systems and processes to make sure that I not only serve this customer, because here's how you know if you're doing this right or wrong. This is actually proof that the industry does not have this downloaded or have this dialed in. People do, but it's because of their servant heart. It's who they are. They really do care. And you can't always teach that to scale. I think you can change the mind and the thinking, which changes the behavior. But what I think that everybody should ask themselves is, if you know of a seller that listed their home without the buyer agent who sold them the house, which is probably almost every listing you took, because most of the listings we take are sold to someone from another agent, then 71%. That is... Go ahead.
71%.
71% of all the homes that are listed, Mr. J. Kinder right here, the statistical...
backed by market research.
Backed by market research. Then what the marketplace has demonstrated is that no different than the amount of money that's spent on lead generation when you look at the same versus what money is made, right?
Right.
There is a problem that is measured and proven that if you can just understand that your clients are your true biggest asset, and you can start literally, I mean, I understand you got to do what you got to do to build up the momentum and build the foundation, but don't forget about the people that already know, like, and trust you. And I'm going to stop there.
Dude,
I
yeah,
know
man, I'm so glad that we chose this topic today. So thank you for that, because this was your suggestion, and we haven't really dove deep on it in a while. And you know, the thing that here's what makes it all work, right? So like, you know, everybody that's watching this is probably saying, man, I do that, I do a good job of that. But here's the problem: unless you have a value proposition that is completely aligned and integrated to the experience that your customer has during the process, until you make a defining gap between what it is that a real estate agent provides and what you provide as an expert advisor, then they don't know that it's any different. If you don't educate them along the way to the value that you're bringing, they don't know the value that you're bringing. They only sell a home once every 7 years. They don't know what it is that you're doing that's different, and unless you're able to articulate that value and make that value visible. Does everybody follow me with what I'm saying? Everybody knows we work our tails off when we sell a house. But
so let me say what I would say.
Go ahead.
So you're the consumer,
right?
And you're happy with your realtor, and you're trying to hand that off to me.
Right.
Now you do it.
So I'm handing it off to you?
You just sold your house and you love your realtor, and I'm your friend and I need to sell my house.
Gotcha. Yeah. Hey man, I just got, you know, I know you're thinking about selling your house, and man, I have a really I want you to call a buddy of mine, Michael Reese. He's great. He's a really great real estate agent. You know, they did everything they said they were going to do. You know, they staged the home. It was just a really great experience. I recommend you probably give them a call.
Oh man, I would love to, but I met a girl that was at an Easter Bunny deal in our neighborhood, and her son liked my son, and she does the same thing. But I appreciate that we know a realtor.
Oh, okay, all right.
Demonstration that you didn't have the ability to.
Or I couldn't articulate the value.
No handle.
Right. I couldn't articulate the value that was given during that transaction.
No.
And therefore, that person worked with somebody who's dressed up like an Easter bunny.
Now let's do Nordstrom's with your recent experience.
So this is...
and I told you this in the parking lot the other day.
Right, you did tell me. Yeah, you did, because you had the same experience.
And I asked about my backpack.
It's really the only reason that I went back. It's not the reason that I bought.
Would you ever go anywhere else?
No way. Heck
okay.
No.
Let's tell them the story.
So we were in Hawaii. We were in Hawaii a few months back. It's been 4 or 5 months back, and we were in Waikiki. We were walking down by all the shops. There's a To Me luggage store there. I walk in and I ask him, because my luggage is broken. Literally, the handle is broken off completely. It's like doesn't work. It's gone. So I still have it, but it was broken. It was broken in a couple other places. And I asked them, because I remember when I bought it, it was lifetime value. Yeah, they have a USP that's lifetime value. And
who has the real USP?
Right. So I asked them, well, hey, so is there any kind of guarantee? You know, what's your warranty on your luggage? And they were like, well, it's lifetime. You know, it's lifetime warranty. He was trying to sell me a piece of luggage, which he didn't know I was about to tell him. Well, my shit's broke, so I'm about to bring it down here. So so he tells me the USP. So, and he said, yeah, we'll bring it down. So I'm like, okay, great. Well, I'm like, we go back to the room. I take all my stuff out of my suitcase. I'm rolling it down that morning. They don't open till 10 o'clock. I'm the only one only person down there.
Mind you, he's in Hawaii not doing other things to do this.
Right. Like, taking time out of my day. You're waiting on me to do it. I'm standing down there for 30 minutes. I'm there early before they open. I go in, and literally this lady debates and argues with me about whether or not I actually talked to someone in the store the day before, because the description that I gave did not match the description of anyone who ever worked there. Like, I must be making this shit up. Like I said,
that's a good client experience.
Right, yeah. So I said, ma'am, I can assure you that I didn't take all my luggage, all my shit out of my luggage, roll it down 4 blocks, to stand here 30 minutes to come in and make up the fucking story about who it is that I spoke to yesterday. I said, that's not what happened. So let's just play along here. So she's like, well, I can't do it. I can't replace it. I said, what do you mean you can't replace it? Well, you don't live in Hawaii. I said, well, the kid yesterday didn't seem to think that was going to be an issue. I wouldn't be here. I said,
how many people in Waikiki Beach live in Hawaii?
Right.
It's a tourist attraction.
Right. And so not give me an option, hey, we can give you one and we'll ship it to you, or hey, if you want to pay the shipping, Nothing. Was not possible. So my wife reminded me actually, and you told me a story about how you had a suit that you ripped and you went and took it back and they just got you one off the rack. Mm-hmm. Gave you a brand new suit. They didn't ask any questions, did they?
Nope.
It was amazing, right?
Yep.
And because I know it was amazing because what did you do? You went to tell I know you told me. I'm probably not the only person you told.
Yep.
Right. So like you didn't have an expectation that they should just replace it. That was what their promise was. We know what their promise was, but like. Did you walk in there going?
I didn't. No, I was kind of nervous. I was like, I wonder if they're going to do. I was sick to my stomach. It was the nicest suit I owned, and I think I was trying to get in your truck, honestly.
Right.
After EGS, and we were leaving or something, and unfortunately, I bought my suit pant a little too tight.
Right.
And out went the rear end.
Yeah.
But
the old lifted truck has ripped a few pair of pants for me too.
Right.
So my wife reminded me that we actually had bought the Toomey luggage at Nordstrom. I did not remember that. So I was like, man, I'm going to, and who has time? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're up early, we work late. I don't have time to go, mess with this kind of stuff, right? So like, I was pretty frustrated as was. But I said, you know what? I'm just going to handle it. I'm like, hopefully this goes well. I go in, the guy doesn't ask any questions. He took a brand new version of what I had and gave it to me. Gave it to me, and he goes, here you go, just pick one. He goes, this one, you want that one, because they look about the same. Which one do you want? That one of them was $200 or $300 more, and the other one was a little bit smaller but a little bit less. So I was like, well, this one's closer in size. This is the one I like to have. He's like, that's fine. He said, well, give me your information. He looked it up in the system. They couldn't even find where that I had bought it there, and it must have been under Amber's name. I don't know, but they couldn't find it. He's like, don't worry about it. It's all good. I've logged it in the system. If you have any problems, let me know, man. I was like, what? Well, I was in there less than 10 minutes.
So
rolled out a brand new.
Who captured that lifetime
Right.
value?
Let me tell you where I'm buying. Look, I'm not a fan of Toomey. I got one brand new suitcase, but I know where I will be buying everything that I buy from now on will be at Nordstrom because they don't give you a hassle.
No matter what the luggage.
Doesn't matter what brand it is. If you buy it there, even if you don't buy it there, I've got it. It's so impressive. That I bought the book, the Nordstrom Way, and I've been reading through it. I've also been reading Creating Magic, the story of Disney, Lee Cockerell that was the head of Disney for a long time. Great story. He's from Oklahoma, actually. Interesting. But, these stories of these great companies and the level of service that they deliver, it's not rocket science, right? But like as we get busy and we're building our business and then we get attached to this whole, lead generation and like, it happened to me the same way when Jay Abraham brought it up to me and he asked the question. I'll never forget it as long as I live. I'm sitting in the room. Jay Abraham says, how many of you have ever gotten a referral before? Everybody's hand goes up. I said, how many of you have ever, ever got more than, so-and-so referrals? Everybody's hand goes up. Everybody raise their hand a couple more times or whatever. And he says, how many of you have ever have a system in place for consistently generating referrals in your business? Well, my hand didn't go up. I was selling 500 homes a year. I was looking for the next way to write an ad to sell a house.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? And so I was like, oh, I'm about to learn something here. And so he goes on, how many have more than 2 systems, more than 5 systems, more than 10 systems? He goes on to talk about the 93 different referral systems that he created and about how to generate referrals. And I walked away from there going, my God, how much am I leaving on the table by worrying about the next sale, trying to sell 500 homes a year? What am I thinking? Like,
cost to sell.
It's so hard. Like, how many more people you have to hire to make that? Just fall in love with the customer and deliver the highest level of value to one customer and do that over and over again. And what's the value of that? $171,000 difference in lifetime value. And I think not very many people think that way. Like, they're not. How many? I mean, I know people are watching right now or listening right now, going, "Damn, I've been doing it wrong. I'm like the rest of the sheep." Right. That are in line. No, this is where you want to have a business model that's different. This is where the real value is. Adding value to
Let me
people's
tell you
lives.
what they're and I hope you picked this up because we've done this a million times. So
right.
So and you're pretty quick.
We'll
okay.
see.
So we'll see how quick you are.
Here goes.
Well, Jay, I got 25 referrals last year. How do you know if that's the right? I'm doing good. I got 25, and then someone says I got 20. What is a person that's saying they got 10? 15 or 20, how do you really know if you're tapping into the value?
How many people do you have in your database, and what's the referral ratio of past clients to referrals? What is,
So explain that math. Right. Give a description there, because I think this is a huge concept. You want to get a pen out, because this really is how you understand the opportunity to, the question at 500 homes, because The concept is if I get 20 referrals and you get 20 referrals, that doesn't mean we did the same.
No, it doesn't. And this was, and again, back then I was getting a lot of referrals, and I was even measuring it. I thought I was doing a good job of measuring it. I come to find out that I wasn't measuring it very well. In fact, one of the first things that I learned was the question that I would ask was, the very first question. I mean, we wrote this on our seller counseling interview, and it was, what marketing did you last see that made you decide to give us a call? Well, that's all good and great, except for what we learned when we changed that question. So everyone would say TV, billboards, this, that, the other. And the bigger you get, the worse this gets. Like the harder it becomes to really decide, like, what really was the motivating cause that you called us? Was it really the marketing, or was it something different? What we learned was shocking, that when you ask a question, the question, who do we need to thank for sending us your business? Almost 100% of those same people that would have gave me some type of marketing as their reason for doing business with me also knew somebody that had mentioned us and given us as a referral. And those people were not in my database,
right?
Being tracked, being tagged back to those to the lifetime value of a customer like a Dave DeBaca, who was my painter and averaged 4 to 5 transactions a year. That he referred to me, because I never knew and never asked that question, because I wasn't asking the question, I wasn't tracking it in the database. And when you think about, oh, you got this big database, yeah, whatever, you have 13,000, 25,000 people in our database probably at this point. I have no idea. But how many people are actually actively sending you referrals? What's your ratio of past client to referrals annually? What's your ratio of sphere of influence to referrals? You want to if you want to say you're doing good, you need to measure it, and you need to see if what you're doing. And this is something that we did this in 2000. It was 2011 when we really broke this down in the database, capturing hug fields of your client, which is utilizing the Harvey Mackay system, which is the Mackay 66. You can Google that document. And capturing really like the things that are important to people and staying in contact with, Dave DeBaca, huge OU fan. What did he get every year? OU tickets. Right. Making sure that you're communicating, you're not just professionally relevant, but you're also personally relevant. It's crucially important to the lifetime value of your business.
Absolutely. I want to just point out what Mike McZeek said. I see it over there.
What's up, Mike McZeek?
I was supposed to have breakfast with Mr. Mazik today. We rescheduled. Glad for you reaching out, brother.
Right. Yeah, his point is, did you read his point?
Yeah. I was just going to read it live. So some people think there's shenanigans going on.
Oh, shenanigans. There ain't no shenanigans here.
No shenanigans. So Mike says, I can't read mine through the crack. Oh.
He's waiting for the new iPhone 7 to drop.
Yeah, I think the issue is that everyone is focused on a post-sale follow-up program rather than focusing on what happens during the transaction. Mm-hmm. I can follow up 30 times after the transaction, but if they weren't blown away, it doesn't matter. If I make them a raving fan during the transaction, I can almost fail and never contact them again, and they won't ever forget about me.
Right. That's a great distinction, and it's 100% true. One of the mistakes I used to make, and I'm sure that there's probably a few people that are watching that have made this mistake, was I didn't in the beginning, because I didn't know how to differentiate myself and create a defining gap, and I didn't know how to articulate that. I just told them I would call them every week. Right. So guess what happened? About 45 listings later. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had great intentions. I was working my tail off, but I wasn't calling them all every week. Right. So it didn't matter what I did. If I didn't call them, it was like they were waiting by the phone. Like, you think I left them, left them for dinner, and didn't, sitting at the table and didn't show up. Like, these people were pissed. Like, and it's like, man, I can't. There's not enough hours in the day for me to call them. So, the importance of differentiation is it allows you to set expectations. Like, what you want to do with your client is, I promise you this, my doctor ain't going to tell me, hey man, call me anytime. If you're not feeling well, I'll come out to your house and I'll do open house on any Sunday. I'm going to call you every. You don't get that from your doctor. Your doctor ain't going to tell you something stupid like that, because he's not going to try to deliver on that.
Right.
He'll tell you to set an appointment. If you're really lucky, you'll get in today, maybe tomorrow.
Right.
And so, if you really want to be positioned as a true expert, you want to be treated like a true expert, then you have to be able to differentiate the value that you bring to the table to a point that people understand. It allows you to set expectations.
Right.
Like, listen, here's how this is going to work. Because the market is always moving, we're not testing our process and system for selling homes. What we're testing is the price of the home in your home in the marketplace. We're not testing our ability to sell homes. We've sold thousands and thousands of homes using this exact process. So what we are testing is the value of your home in the marketplace. So what we're going to do is, I'm not going to call you every week. In fact, I'm not going to call you at all. What we're going to do is we're going to schedule a call at 30 days, and we're going to evaluate everything new that's come on the market, everything went under contract. We're going to look at the pending ratios to see what the trends are doing, and then we're going to look at everything that's sold to see exactly what we need to do in order for you to accomplish your goal of moving to Houston by November, which is what you told me was important to you. So that's how that's going to work. We're going to schedule that call. Now, then what I do is we have somebody call them every week.
Right.
And now they're blown out of the water. But you set an expectation, you over deliver. You say you're going to do less, and you do way more than that. And when you do that repeatedly, then you can build a raving fan following because you set the expectation. They understood the expectation, but then you over delivered.
Yeah.
So that was something that took me a long time to learn. But like it used to be, I'll tell you another big one that I got was hey, I got this. Tell me everybody to get this phone call. Hey, Jay, we're just wondering why it looks like you guys haven't shown the house at all since we listed it 30 days ago. But it looks like Remax has shown it, and Century 21 has shown it quite a few times, and Keller Williams has shown it quite a few times. Is there a reason why you're not bringing your buyers over? What do you say to that one, right? So like, if you got a listing and if we know, and this is statistically the number, market research shows that 71% of all homes that sell are actually sold by a cooperating agent and another brokerage. So what we've actually done with our marketing budget, as opposed to just trying to put your house in every newspaper and every place you possibly can, we've actually allocated our resources towards getting you exposure in the biggest way possible. So we're going to put your home in front of all of the internet traffic that we know where home buyers are looking, real home buyers are shopping, and then we're going to allocate a part of that budget to marketing to the top agents in town that have buyer representatives or that represent buyers. And so what you should experience during this listing process, if we've done a good job, you'll know because you will be getting multiple showings from other companies as well. And that's something that we do as just included in part of our fee. Most people, if you were to interview, are probably not going to show you how they're going to be targeting other agents to get them to show this property. And we actually have a process and a marketing plan designed to make sure we maximize the largest buyer pool that there actually is for your home is actually working with other real estate agents. I would love it if they would all call me, but we know historically that market research shows that's not going to happen. So we took something that was a huge negative and we built it into the presentation, set an expectation around it, made it a positive, and now we eliminated, and this was back when you really feel it is when the market shifts and you got 200 listings.
Yeah.
And now they're all overpriced and they're all mad at you. You know what I'm saying? So those are the lessons learned, but you got to have a process that's proven and repeatable, that delivers that value, articulates that value, allows you to set expectations, allows you to, and then processes on your own that allow you to over deliver on those promises.
I love it.
And when you do that, you can build a business that that you increase the lifetime value, work less, make more. I mean that's what it's all about, face to face, baby.
Heck yeah, I love it. One thing I want to end with is any Atlanta agents. We are going to be out in Atlanta. We have to jump on a mastermind call next where we're going to show people how we're leveraging what we're doing out in Atlanta. I think we got 67 recruits that we're meeting with so far. We're about to have to blow out the size of the room for the Atlanta opportunity. And I was at Mike Mazik. I did go to breakfast this morning. I go every Friday. I just wasn't able to come to the Dallas Original Pancake House. But I did go and I worked on the Dallas one. So if you know of any Dallas agents, people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that might be interested in our partner program, definitely send us a private message or post in here or tag them. Love to talk to them. We are going to be doing an event this month. The goal is before our big event in October. So, but if you are an Atlanta agent, on the screen you can see here, we're going to have an event there Thursday, September 8th. We're going to be going from 12 to 2. We're going to be providing lunch, and we're going to be really, Jay, tell them what we're going to be talking about.
Right. And what we're talking about is this. We built proven, repeatable systems that are backed by market research to sell a home for the most amount of money. Buyer systems that are designed to get the buyer to want to run red lights to come to your office. And if you want to partner with us, what we'd love to do is we'd love to install all of our systems, all of our technology, all of our marketing, and put that in place for you and drive your business. So in a geographic territory, the territories that are still available in Atlanta, I can't describe all of them. There's 28 or 26 of them that are in total, and we want to partner with one agent per territory. And what we want to do is we want to, instead of having 250 agents in office, we want one agent covering that territory, and we're going to focus on driving you business, building your brand in that area as the expert advisor representing the NAEA. There's tons of value behind this that we haven't really talked about in terms of having a sellable business, having something that actually has value. I can tell you that what we're doing is special, and we're looking for the right people. And if you're interested, it's at, I think it's the 1818 Club, noon, I want to say. On the 8th of September. We're going to be there. Go to naea.com/Atlanta, and you'll have an opportunity to be our exclusive, differentiated expert advisor in your territory there in Atlanta.
Awesome, man.
All right, on. We'll either see you at the top
Or from the top.
You guys make it a great weekend. Have a great Labor Day.